This is another video, and this is how to remove the back of an Xpelair Taurus. This is the T10, so there's no screw on the back that you have to take off. Rather, you actually have to take off the oscillator knob. There's a nut in there. I didn't have the correct spanner, so I just used an 8mm one to just poke it through, and eventually it did actually move because it was quite loose anyway. So then once you've done that, you can just wedge off this plastic. Now pull up from the bottom, and it will be quite stiff, mine was. And eventually you can just lift up from here. You've got your oscillator mechanism, which will be screwed in by 4 screws, which you can remove like so. Then you gain access to all the different cogs in here. And then this one is the one that actually is the output one, which is connected to the base. So if I move this, you can actually see it moving. And to remove that, so that you can actually take the oscillator off, there's a small circlip on the end, kind of like the thing that you find on a small drone or something. And here you've got your this, which is what you actually adjust. Then when you screw it in, it actually pushes the two together, and that makes it all work. Now, just how it works: you've got your motor shaft in the corner there, and that is turned round by this white one here, which just angles the movement really. And then this one turns side to side, which then outputs to this one, moving this up around like that, which then, because this is an arm, moves and pushes it down and up, kind of like an engine. And yeah, there's also the oil port for the motor down here, which if you look at the fan from that direction, it's to the left on my fan there. So I'm just going to oil the fan now. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have one, subscribe for more. Now, as you can see from in here, this is how it works. So we've got the output shaft for the motor, which is going very fast. Got this to angle it and reduce the speed quite a bit. Then we've got this one. I think, yeah, this turns into a worm gear at the bottom. I don't know if you can actually see that. See the spokes at the bottom there? Yeah, which slowly turns this one round. Then as you turn this, you push it along, I think that's the way it goes, or the other way, which then locks all together, which then makes it want to push it together as it needs to be. There. Don't want to do that because it'll probably jam up the gears and you can maybe get some binding. So at the moment I'm just lubricating it using some zoom spout oil by Regin, whatever that is. So just put it by oil thing and it just sucks it up. It's quite messy because the actual oscillator mechanism is actually in the way. I don't really want to faff about removing it all because then I have to remove circlips and everything. So I'm just kind of adding oil in the area, general area where the oil port is. Now you can see it just there, that gold piece there. There isn't a hell of a lot of harm to any zoom spout oil coming onto your coils because it isn't conductive. Made sure of that, Regen tested it and everything. Yeah, it's quite cool to see the insides of a fan working, how the oscillator works. I've just removed the grill as you just saw, and now I just need to take off this little plastic cover. It should just pop out using finger force. There we go. And then you just have to remove this. I just pause the video now, and now I can carry on with the screw removed. It should just pop out, although you might need to use a bit more force, or perhaps even wedge it off using a screwdriver I've seen on the internet. You have to be very careful using this method though, because vintage plastic can get very brittle. Now I'm just going to pause the video here and try and remove the blades. Now that you've removed the blade set, you'll probably notice that there's a lot of hair in mine. But anyway, there's this metal piece. This is actually the motor's cooling fan, which I think is probably excellent, probably the best idea I've actually seen on a fan. So that could just be removed like so. Now, as you can see, it gains access to the oil ports on there, I think. Yeah, 3 of them on this motor, which is quite a bit really, but yeah. So then you just use a bit of oil on each of them, like so. And I'll actually just do this on camera. Turning it on. Don't do it for ages, and make sure it's upright when you're doing it, because then you've actually got some airflow going through. So a bit there, and on the last remaining one. I don't know if that's an oil port or not really, but it's got some oil in it already. And then just turn it off when you're finished. Should notice it's a bit smoother than before. Yeah, just keep running it for a while. Should really use speed 1. It's a bit less stress on the motor. I'm just being quite generous with it actually. Yeah, and also if you want to go further, you can actually remove these screws, take the blade, not the blades, the back grill off, and then remove the actual motor itself. The motor's not getting too hot, so it's all fine really. Then just put all these on again. I'll just demonstrate like this. As you see, there's these little slits, and they draw air through the motor, which is quite a good idea, but it can also get quite dusty. Anyway, just pop that back on there. Pretty sure that's the correct way around. Now you might think that that is not correct. Can't possibly be like that. Well, actually, just shush that a bit. These pieces here on the fan blade actually push down on this to make sure that it spins at the correct speed. Now this might be quite hard to push on again, but with a bit of force it should be alright. I'll just use both hands for this, so I'll pause the video. Yeah, I've actually done just a neat trick. I've basically just got a bit of fan oil and put it on the motor shaft so that it actually push on a bit easier. Now I can actually do it one-handed. So now if we power up, which you shouldn't do with the blade set attached, it doesn't sound weird because the metal is actually all pushed together and functioning again. So now we just have to put in the retaining screw. So yeah, just like this. Also remember that it is actually reverse thread, so that it doesn't actually get unscrewed whilst the fan blade is actually turning. So yeah, you turn it anti-clockwise to tighten instead of the typical clockwise to tighten. Oh, and you might want to hold the fan blade in place whilst you're doing this. Just make sure it's nice and tight. And then put the retaining, not even the retaining thing, just the decoration back in place. Just a plastic snap-on clip. Push that in there. And then you can attach the grill on again, making sure that all the pieces line up. You have to be very careful with these clips. They're quite notorious for being quite brittle. So I'll put it on, you'll need to use both hands for this. And afterwards we can test it. Now once it's all finished, we can now test it on speed 1 at the moment. Check that it actually spins up to full speed. As seen, it does. Rather slowly, although I think the bearings just need replacing, to be honest. Yeah, there was about a 30-second start time. The spin down time is much improved. Still needs lubrication, but it's not that bad at the moment.